Hello everyone. As promised, we're back on site at another historic location. And I'm Cindy Stevenson-Tuttle with the Historic Saluda Committee, and today we are at the historic Macedonia Church. And we're going to walk around at around the church and around in the cemetery. We're going to look at a few graves, and we're going to talk about the lives of a few people that are buried here. It's a fascinating church, has a long history of families that founded Saluda and the surrounding area. So let's just jump right in and learn a little bit more about this fascinating place. It's a breezy, warm summer day. Actually, it's the day after Coon Dog Day. And as mentioned, we are coming to you from Macedonia Baptist Church in the Macedonia community of Saluda. It's a few miles outside of town in a beautiful location. And we're going to walk around through this graveyard, and we're going to look at a few of the graves. Some of them are very old, and we're going to talk about a few of the people that are buried here. But Macedonia Baptist Church is actually located in Henderson County. It was organized in 1898. The first pastor was Reverend William Henry Jones. This is the original church, but it has been extensively renovated and modernized. The charter member surnames were Fletcher, Williams, Revis, Arledge, Guice, Staton, Gordon, and Wagener, just to name a few. It's a really sunny day, so it might be a little bright and difficult to see. See if I can get a shot in of this. I just mentioned Reverend Jones, and here's his burial site. He preached the gospel 64 years, rest on until the resurrection. Here's some interesting information that I found on Ancestry.com after I recorded this video. Reverend William Henry Jones was born in 1859 in Henderson County, North Carolina. He first married Rosa Justice Jones, and they had 4 children together. He then married Frances Eliza Tabitha Gray, and they had 12 children together. He also had 1 son with Naomi J. Jones. He died in 1948 in Saluda at the age of 89. And then there was a personal note added to his information on his tree. And here is what was stated in that, and I quote, "He and his wife made their home in Fruitland. He was a Baptist minister for 64 years. Some area churches he served included Macedonia, Friendship, Mountain Valley, Piney Grove, Fort Creek, Zion Hill, Refuge, Mud Creek, Crossroads. He made his home the last 27 years of his life with his nephew, Harley G. Jones, in Mountain Page. He requested to be buried as near the pulpit as possible at Macedonia Baptist Church." So I guess that explains why his grave is so close to the rear of the church. Like I said, we're going to continue the Guice story. This is Zorro Joseph Guice Jr. and Bessie Bradley Geiss. For those of you who ever read the book Zorro's Field, this was the Zorro that they were referring to. We're going to walk over a little ways over here. Minnie Geiss. I remember hearing about Minnie Geiss. But the reason that we're here is for these two graves that are side by side. Joseph H. Stevenson, my great-grandfather, and his wife, Minnie Geiss Stevenson. Looks like this one needs to be cleaned up and had some mud up on it from the recent hard rains. Anyway, to tell you a little bit about these two people, I don't know if I can get a shot with both of them in it, but a little bit about Minnie. When Minnie Geiss was born on September 6, 1881, which, by the way, coincides almost perfectly with the birth of Saluda's charter for the town of Saluda, which I believe was in February 1881. She was born in Henderson County. Her father was William Dockery Guice, also known as Doc. He was 27, and her mother, Ella Heatherly, was 23. And she married Joseph Hogue, that's what the H stands for, H-O-G-E, Stevenson, on September 7th, 1901 in Henderson County. They had 5 children during their marriage, and she died on May 6, 1962. You can't see her date of death on her marker. And she died at the age of 80 and is buried here. Just an interesting note, Minnie's grandfather was Joseph Alexander with an E, Guice, and her great-grandfather was Peter Geist, for whom the Green River Bridge is named. All 3, Doc, as he was known, Joseph, and Peter, built or maintained the original Green River toll bridge and drovers inn, which provided safe passage for drovers and livestock for at least 4 generations. For more details, see our last video that we featured on Peter Geist. We are not far from the actual Geist property. There's a road, the Geist Road, that intersects with Macedonia Road. This church is located right off Macedonia Road. And Joseph was born November 11th, 1874 in Tazewell County, Virginia. Joseph's family lived in Maiden Springs, Virginia for at least 100 years before he settled in Saluda around 1900. And he died May 14th, 1933 at the age of 58 and was buried here. I've been to Maiden Springs one time and found records of the Stevenson family, but other than Saluda, that is probably one of the most beautiful places I have ever been to. The mountains just roll. It is not far out of West Virginia, and I'm tying a connection between the Stevenson family and the coal mines. An interesting note about Joseph Stevenson: his son was Walter, or one of his sons was Walter McQueen Stevenson. He was born in Saluda in 1911 and died in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1993. He was nicknamed Tarzan, and he went on to fame by becoming a professional baseball player. At the age of 24, he broke into the major leagues and was a catcher and pinch hitter from 1935 to 1937 with the Chicago Cubs and Philadelphia Phillies. Another one of their sons, and the actual second Joseph Stevenson in Saluda, but with a different middle name, he went by Raymond, which was his middle name, and he was my grandfather. And Raymond was well known around town, and even to this day, folks still come up to me and say, "Hey, you're Raymond Stevenson's granddaughter." I mean, it's pretty amazing. He's been dead for since the early 60s. But he was very popular. He served on the Polk County Board of Education. He actually chaired it. He was a chair of the Lions Club, and he served in the North Carolina Senate in the late 1950s. And my dad was actually the third Joe Stevenson, also taking Raymond as a middle name, so he was a Stevenson. My grandfather, Joseph Raymond Stevenson Sr., he ran the Esso station in Saluda for many years. And his business started at the Whistle Stop building, which I think is Purple Onion runs it as the spot. And next door at Green River Adventures is the station that he built later in his career. They say they still have the oil lifts in the garage side of the building. But back to the original Joseph H. Stevenson. He arrived in Saluda, for my research, he arrived in Saluda around 1900, and he married my great-grandmother in 1901, so I guess he didn't waste any time. An interesting fact about Joseph Hoag Stevenson: he allegedly came here to build a bridge over the railroad tracks in Saluda. I'm not sure which bridge, but that's what I've been told. On his death certificate, it does say that he was a steel bridge builder, and he had been in business for over 25 years, I believe it said, but he came here to build bridges. And it's really an interesting fact that he came here to build a bridge and ended up marrying a bridge builder's daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter, all bridge builders. So I really would think it would have been fascinating to have heard the conversations around the dinner table about bridges. So they must have been pretty good at it. Another interesting tidbit about these two, well, as far as Minnie had a sister named Minnie Geiss. Minnie was married to M.A. Pace, as in the M.A. Pace store. And Minnie and Minnie, from what I've been told, actually Robert Pace of the Pace store, who was a cousin, actually told me that Minnie and Minnie were very close. Minnie was Robert's mother. Of course, Minnie is my great-grandmother. And they were very close, and people used to note or observe them going to church every Sunday up those steep steps on Church Street up to the old Baptist Church that's now a private residence. The Stevenson side of my family has been very challenging to trace, probably due to the spelling of the name, which may have also been Stevenson with a V. And there are some hints that they may have arrived to Virginia from Scotland, which is interesting due to the Guice family's Scottish heritage. And I've always suspected there may be a little Irish in there too, but I'm just not sure. I'm going to still research that. One thing that's interesting to do is to go into a cemetery and find names on the markers and then go back and do some research on it. Here's one of the markers representing the Williams family, and as well as the Guice family. Jones family is a very popular Saluda surname. Joseph, I think. Joseph R. Guice. Gone but not forgotten. Mrs. Mary E. Geiss, wife of W.D. Guice. Can't make that out too well. It's a Guice. I see this one all the way over from where I was standing. It's hand carved. Looks like Watson, maybe. I might be able to see it a little bit better on when I look at when I play this back. It may be breezy, but it really is hot today. Like I said, it's the day after Coon Dog Day. Here's the back side of my great-grandfather's marker. You don't see very many Stevensons in Saluda anymore. Fairly new graves. 2021 Effie Geiss. Horace Geiss died April 12, 2006. And here's another one that looks like it's hand carved. Interesting. Dallas, son of NC something Guice. Can't make out the date of death. Well, date of death looks like 1923. Of course, usually the further away from the church you go, the newer the graves are, in some cases. Some wards buried out here. More Guice. There needs to be some gravestone cleaning soon. All that storm, it pushed all this mud and gunk up. Get this marker here. I can't make out anything. This one's broken. It's got carving on it, but I can't make it out. I can get a better look at the church. I'm going to walk around to the oldest graves and see if we can't find some really old ones. We mentioned a minute ago the marker for Ellen Geiss, wife of T.H. Williams, and this is T.H. Williams' marker. In loving remembrance of dear father. I can't make out what it says. I think next time I'm going to bring a brush some of these off. This person didn't live 5 months. Rebecca E. Geiss, March 8th, maybe, 1835, February 19th, 1917. Soon, or no, I'm sorry, gone but not forgotten. Here's two markers for children. It's like they're bishops. They're very long, less than a year. I'm sure there's a lot of unmarked graves out here. I thought that I read online that Minnie's father, Dr. Geist, was buried out here, but I haven't found it. Sometimes it's hard to find, especially if the markers are hard to read. Well, like I mentioned, it's the day after Coon Dog Day, and it's hotter than heck, so I think I'm going to wrap it up and let this be it for today. But we do hope to come back in the future to other sites in Saluda, maybe come back here and bring some guests with us who know a lot more about these old graves than I do. And we hope to continue vlogging and continue exploring. If you have any ideas, reach out to us and let us know.